The rain hammered the courtroom windows like it was trying to drown out the judge's gavel. But nothing could wash away the terror in Jamie's eyes as he clutched my hand, his small fingers digging in like roots desperate for soil. In that split second, as the adoption papers slid across the polished oak desk, I felt the weight of a life I'd never planned for crash into mine. A 7-year-old Storm named Jamie whose parents had been stolen by a car wreck on I-5, leaving him adrift in foster limbo. And then, as if the universe had a cruel sense of humor, Riley appeared at the agency doors that afternoon, his umbrella flipped inside out by the wind, offering to watch the kid for free just to help a brother out, his smile cutting through the gray like a promise I wasn't ready to keep. I never believed in love at first sight, not after losing Marcus to that godforsaken overdose 3 years back, the kind that leaves you hollowed out, staring at blueprints all night, because designing someone else's dream is safer than chasing your own. Seattle suited that numbness, the Puget Sound fog that clung to everything like regret, the endless drizzle mirroring the ache I carried under my flannel shirts and steel-toed boots. Adopting Jamie was supposed to be redemption, a way to build something solid from the ruins, not another complication in human form. But Riley? He was chaos wrapped in kindness, a 25-year-old whirlwind with ink-sleeved arms and a laugh that echoed off the fairy horns, crashing into our fragile routine like he belonged there all along. It started innocently enough, or so I told myself as I juggled site visits for the new Eco Homes project downtown, handing Jamie off to Riley 3 evenings a week. The kid took to him instantly, those initial wide-eyed stares melting into giggles over finger-painted masterpieces that turned our kitchen table into a battlefield of primary colors. "Mr. Alex," Riley says I'm like a superhero in training. Jamie would beam, his voice still carrying that faint southern lilt from his lost Texas roots, a reminder of the life we'd pieced together from fragments. I'd nod, forcing a grin while stealing glances at Riley wiping flour from his cheek after baking lopsided cookies, his green eyes catching mine with a spark that made my pulse stutter. Like revving an engine, I thought I'd jump for good. One Tuesday, the storm hit harder than usual, winds howling off Elliott Bay as I raced home from the office, blueprints soaked and useless. Bursting through the door, I found them in the living room. Jamie curled on the couch under a quilt, fast asleep with a storybook splayed open on his chest, and Riley humming softly as he tidied the toys, his damp hair curling at the nape of his neck from the downpour they'd braved earlier. "He fought the rain like a champ," Riley whispered, turning with that disarming half-smile, close enough that I caught the scent of wet earth and his citrus cologne. My throat tightened, words tangling as I mumbled thanks, but he lingered, stacking blocks with deliberate slowness, his gaze tracing the lines of exhaustion on my face. "You look like you could use a break, Alex. Ever think about letting someone else carry the load for once?" I brushed it off with a laugh that sounded forced even to me, pouring coffee to steady my hands, but his words burrowed deep, stirring the dust over memories I'd buried. Marcus had said the same thing once, back when we were young and foolish in a cramped Capitol Hill apartment, before the shadows won. That night, as Riley slipped out into the dark, waving goodbye with a casual, "Text me if you need backup tomorrow," I stood at the window watching his taillights fade down Queen Anne Avenue, a pull in my chest like gravity shifting, warning me that some forces you can't outrun. By the 4th week, Riley's help had woven into the warp of our days, his shift stretching from babysitting to impromptu dinners where he'd show up with grocery bags bulging from Pike Place Market, fresh salmon, and heirloom tomatoes that turned our meals into feasts. Jamie thrived under it, his nightmares easing from weekly sobs to rare whimpers, and I'd catch him sketching Riley's profile in crayon, a lopsided hero with a cape made of coffee steam. "He's cool, Dad," Jamie said one evening, the word Dad still a fragile gift that made my heart clench. I ruffled his hair, avoiding the mirror where my reflection stared back, 35 and frayed at the edges, wondering if I deserved this patchwork family, or if it was just borrowing time. Riley noticed, of course. He had a way of seeing through the cracks, like when he arrived early one Friday, arms laden with board games and a 6-pack of local IPA, declaring it family game night without asking. We played Settlers of Catan until Jamie yawned his defeat, and as I tucked him in, Riley waited in the kitchen, nursing his beer with that quiet intensity. "You're good at this, you know," he said when I returned, his voice low, the room shrinking around us. "Building worlds for other people. But who's building yours?" The question hung heavy, laced with something unspoken, and I felt the air thicken, charged like the storm clouds rolling in over the Olympics. I leaned against the counter, too close, the warmth of him pulling like a tide. "Not sure I remember how," I admitted, the words slipping out raw, unguarded. His eyes softened, hand brushing mine as he reached for a glass, a touch that lingered a beat too long, electric and terrifying. For a moment, I saw it. The possibility of more, of tangled sheets and whispered confessions in the pre-dawn light, of a love that didn't demand perfection but forgave the broken parts. But fear clamped down, Marcus's ghost whispering warnings, and I pulled back, muttering about an early meeting. Riley nodded, hurt flickering before he masked it with a grin. "Whenever you're ready, Alex. I'll be around." The weekends blurred into a rhythm of avoidance and ache, me burying myself in work while Riley's text lit up my phone. Silly memes for Jamie, Check-ins disguised as casual, but always that undercurrent, a thread tugging me closer. One crisp October morning, with leaves turning the parks into fire, I caved and invited him to the Seattle Aquarium, Jamie's latest obsession with jellyfish pulling us all under. We wandered the glass tunnels, bioluminescent wonders pulsing around us like heartbeats, and Jamie darted ahead, leaving Riley and me in a bubble of blue light. "This place feels like us," he murmured, shoulder-brushing mine. "Beautiful, but a little lost in the current." I swallowed hard, the confession bubbling up like pressure in a fault line. "Riley, I've got walls higher than the Space Needle." Losing him wrecked me. His hand found mine in the shadows, firm and steady, thumb tracing circles that unraveled me. "Then let's climb them together. No rush, no pressure. Just us." The kiss that followed was tentative, a brush of lips tasting of salt air and possibility, but ignited something fierce, a spark in the dark that promised warmth against the endless rain. Yet doubt crept in like fog off the sound, my mind replaying every reason it couldn't work. The age gap, the kid in the equation, the fresh scar of adoption papers still crisp in my drawer. I pulled away that night on the ferry ride home, citing Jamie's bedtime, but Riley's eyes held no resentment, only understanding. "I'm not going anywhere," he texted later, a photo of him sketching Jamie's sleeping face attached. "Unless you tell me to." The first real crack came mid-November, when a client meltdown derailed my schedule, leaving me stranded at a Ballard construction site till midnight. Panicked, I called Riley, who arrived without hesitation, scooping Jamie into a piggyback ride through the downpour to keep him laughing. But as we piled into my truck, soaked and shivering, Jamie's small voice piped up from the back. "Riley, are you going to be my other dad?" The cab went silent, the wipers slashing rhythmically, and I gripped the wheel, heart pounding as Riley turned, his expression a mix of hope and fear mirroring my own. "I'd like that, buddy," he said softly, reaching back to squeeze Jamie's knee. "If your dad says it's okay." The weight of it settled in, not as a burden, but a bridge, and when we got home, after Jamie was down, I didn't pull away. Instead, I drew Riley into the kitchen, our bodies aligning like puzzle pieces long separated, the kiss deepening into something hungry, hands exploring with the urgency of withheld breath. We tumbled to the couch, whispers turning to gasps, the world narrowing to the press of skin and the rain's steady drum, a symphony of surrender. But life, the relentless architect, had blueprints of its own. A week later, during a rare day off, we took Jamie to Discovery Park, chasing kites along the bluffs where the city met the sea. Laughter echoed off the waves, Riley hoisting Jamie high as I watched, chest full to bursting. It felt like family, real and rooted, until my phone buzzed with a call from the agency. A routine check-in, but their tone hinted at shadows, questions about Riley's background I'd never thought to ask. "He's solid," I assured them, but unease gnawed as I hung up, glancing at Riley teaching Jamie to skip stones, his profile etched against the horizon like a promise carved in stone. That evening, over takeout pho from the International District, I broached it gently. "Hey, the agency's doing their thing. Mind if I ask? Anything I should know?" Riley's fork paused, color draining from his face, and for the first time, I saw the fracture lines beneath his easy charm. "It's nothing big," he started, but his voice wavered. I aged out of foster care myself. Bounced around Seattle's system till I was 18. No family, no safety net. That's why I do this, for kids like Jamie." The confession hung between us, raw and resonant, mirroring my own patched-together past. I reached for his hand, but he pulled back, eyes stormy. "I'm not some charity case, Alex. And I'm scared of screwing this up, of you realizing I'm just the guy who shows up uninvited." Pain twisted in my gut, not from his words, but the vulnerability they bared, an echo of my fears. "Riley, that's why you're perfect," I said, voice thick. "We both know what it's like to rebuild from scraps. That's not weakness, that's strength." We talked till the candles guttered out, unraveling threads of abandonment and resilience, forging something deeper in the quiet hours. By dawn, tangled in sheets that smelled of us, I held him close, whispering, "Stay. Not because you have to, but because I want you here." His smile broke like sunlight through clouds, and for the first time, the future didn't feel like a blueprint waiting to collapse. Winter gripped Seattle in its icy fist, holidays looming like uncharted territory. But with Riley, they transformed into magic. We strung lights along the eaves of our Victorian, Jamie's eyes wide as we baked gingerbread skeletons that toppled into hilarious heaps. Riley's art filled the walls. Portraits of us three, captured in strokes of ochre and indigo, turning our home into a gallery of belonging. Yet beneath the joy, tension simmered, my ex-foster coordinator's emails growing pointed, hinting at Riley's unstable employment as a barista/freelance illustrator, a label that chafed like ill-fitted clothes. One frosty evening, as snow dusted the Space Needle, a rarity that turned the city into a wonderland, disaster struck. I'd left for a late design review, trusting Riley with Jamie's school play rehearsal, but a call shattered the calm. Jamie, feverish and wheezing, rushed to Swedish Medical in an asthma flare triggered by the cold. I sped through slush-choked streets, heart in my throat, arriving to find Riley pacing the ER hall, face ashen, Jamie's tiny form hooked to monitors behind glass. He was fine, then the cough hit like a truck. Riley choked out, guilt etching lines around his eyes. I should have caught it sooner. I pulled him into a fierce hug, the scent of antiseptic sharp, murmuring, "You got him here. That's what matters." Hours blurred in beeps and 4 drips. Jamie stabilizing under the doctor's care, his hand limp in mine as sleep claimed him. In the waiting room's harsh fluorescence, Riley broke, tears carving paths down his cheeks. "I can't lose this, Alex. You too. You're the first real thing I've had." The words pierced, reminding me of Marcus's final nights, the helplessness of watching love slip away. But this was different. This was fightable. "You're not losing us," I vowed, kissing his temple. "We're in this, all the way." As dawn crept in, painting the Olympics pink, we sat vigil, hands entwined, the crisis forging us tighter, a testament to love's quiet power amid chaos. Spring thawed the city slowly, cherry blossoms unfurling along Lake Union like tentative promises, mirroring the bloom in our lives. Riley moved in officially, his canvases cluttering the garage studio I'd cleared for him, Jamie's laughter a constant soundtrack to our days. Yet the agency's shadow lingered, a final home visit scheduled that demanded perfection, and Riley's nerves frayed, old insecurities whispering he didn't belong in our polished world. The night before, we walked the waterfront, fairy horns mournful in the twilight, Jamie skipping stones into the sound. "What if they say no?" Riley murmured, voice small against the waves. I stopped, cupping his face, the city lights dancing in his eyes. "They won't, because this isn't about papers or checks. It's about heart. And we've got plenty." We made love that night, with an urgency born of defiance, bodies speaking what words couldn't, reaffirming the bond no bureaucracy could break. The visit went smoother than feared, the social worker charmed by Jamie's drawings and our easy rhythm, signing off with a nod that felt like absolution. As she left, Riley sagged against me, relief flooding out in a laugh that bubbled like champagne. "We did it," he breathed, and I pulled him close, Jamie cheering from the stairs, our family sealed not by ink, but by the unbreakable ties we'd woven. Summer arrived in a haze of barbecues and beach days at Alki, Riley sketches capturing sunsets that bled orange into the strait. But true tests come unannounced, and ours arrived in an envelope from Marcus's estate, a letter I'd never seen, detailing his final regrets, pleading for me to find joy again. Reading it alone in the attic, tears blurring the page, I felt the past's grip loosen, replaced by gratitude for the man beside me now. I shared it with Riley that evening, under stars pricking the velvet sky, Jamie asleep with dreams of fireflies. "He wanted this from me," I said, handing over the faded paper. Riley read in silence, then folded me into his arms, his voice steady. "And you have it. We all do." In that moment, with the crickets' chorus and the distant hum of the city, I knew we'd built something eternal, a love born of loss, tempered by trials, blooming into a legacy of chosen family, where every scar told a story of survival and every embrace whispered of home. Yet the real climax brewed quietly, in the form of Riley's hidden canvas, a masterpiece he'd labored over in secret, a triptych of us, from that first rainy adoption day to now, strokes capturing the raw emotion of our journey. He unveiled it at Jamie's 9th birthday, the backyard strung with lanterns, friends from the neighborhood gathered around a cake towering with candles. Gasps rippled as the cloth fell, Jamie's eyes widening in awe, and I stood frozen, throat tight with the beauty of it, us immortalized not as perfect but as profoundly human. "You saw us," I whispered later, as guests departed and Jamie crashed in sugar-fueled slumber, pulling Riley onto the porch swing. His hand trembled in mine, vulnerability raw. "I saw you first," he replied, eyes shining. "The man who dared to love again, who gave a scared kid a chance, who let a broken babysitter in. You're my everything, Alex." We kissed under the harvest moon, slow and deep, the world fading to the creak of wood and our synced breaths. In the years that followed, as Jamie grew into a teen with Riley's artistic flair and my stubborn drive, we faced tempests, job losses, health scares, the world's casual cruelties toward loves like ours. But each storm only rooted us deeper, our Victorian a beacon on the hill, proof that family isn't blood but the fierce choice to hold on. And on quiet nights, when rain pattered the roof like applause, I traced the tattoos on Riley's arm, symbols of his foster scars turned badges of triumph, and thanked the stars for the orphan who cracked my heart open, and the babysitter who refused to leave, turning strangers into soulmates, orphans into kin, and a rainy city into our forever home. The autumn leaves crunched underfoot as we wandered Gasworks Park that crisp Saturday, Jamie darting ahead with a kite Riley had hand-painted, its tail a riot of blues and greens whipping in the breeze off Lake Union. At 35, I'd always prided myself on control. The precise lines of my architectural drafts, the scheduled chaos of raising a kid solo, But Riley dismantled it all with a glance, his 25-year-old energy a reminder that life wasn't meant for blueprints alone. We'd been official for months now. His toothbrush in my bathroom cup a small victory, yet doubts lingered like the park's rusting industrial relics, whispering that happiness, this hard one, might shatter under scrutiny. Jamie hooped as the kite soared, tugging Riley's sleeve for approval, and I watched them, chest swelling with a love so vast it scared me. "You're a natural," I called, but Riley's grin faltered, his eyes flicking to the path where a couple strolled hand in hand, their ease a mirror to what we chased. "Just following your lead," he replied, but later, as we packed up, he confessed over ice cream cones dripping onto the grass. "Sometimes I wonder if I'm enough. For him. For you." The vulnerability hit like a gut punch, Marcus's echoes fading against the truth. Riley was more than enough. He was the missing angle that made our triangle whole. Back home, with Jamie napping off the sugar high, we tackled the garage, sorting boxes of my old life. Marcus's vinyl collection, adoption files yellowing at the edges. Riley unearthed a photo album, flipping through images of me and Marcus at pride parades, rainbows clashing with Seattle gray. "He looks like he lit you up," Riley said softly. No jealousy, just curiosity laced with ache. I nodded, throat tight. "He did. But you keep the light burning." Our hands met over the album, and what started as comfort bloomed into passion, bodies pressing against the workbench amid scattered tools, a reclamation of space and self. But external storms gathered too. My firm landed a bid on a massive waterfront redevelopment, deadlines piling like storm surge, pulling me away for late nights in sterile conference rooms downtown. Riley stepped up seamlessly, shuttling Jamie to soccer practices at Interbay Fields, his barista shifts trimmed to make room. Its strain showed in small ways. His sketches left half finished, coffee gone cold on the counter. One evening, I came home to find him staring out the kitchen window, Jamie's homework displayed untouched. "Rough day?" I asked, hanging my coat. He turned, exhaustion carving shadows under his eyes. "Just feeling the weight. You're out there changing skylines, and I'm here with juice boxes and playdates." The words stung, not for their truth but the self-doubt they carried, a foster kid's fear of being temporary. I crossed the room, framing his face. "Those juice boxes are holding up our world, Riley. You're the foundation." We talked it out over leftover lasagna, his head on my shoulder, reaffirming that partnership wasn't competition, but complement, our strengths interlocking like the gears in the park's old machinery. The real tempest hit midweek, a client crisis demanding I fly to Portland for damage control on a delayed permit. Leaving Jamie with Riley felt right, a trust test we'd aced before, but as my plane taxied, unease prickled, a voicemail from the agency about unresolved references in Riley's file, a vague flag from his unstable youth. I brushed it off, focusing on blueprints, but text from Riley painted a picture of domestic bliss. Jamie's triumphant goal at practice, a dinner of Riley's famous clam chowder steaming on the table. "Miss you," he ended one, a heart emoji that warmed the sterile hotel room. Return brought revelation. Bursting through the door at dawn, jet-lagged but wired, I found them in the living room. Jamie building a fort from couch cushions, Riley sprawled beside him, reading aloud from a dog-eared copy of Where the Wild Things Are. The sight undid me, tears pricking as I dropped my bag, joining the pile-up of limbs and laughter. "Daddy's home," Jamie crowed, tackling me, and Riley's kiss was salt and relief, a harbor after rough seas. But the agency's call came that afternoon, insistent, scheduling an urgent review. "It's precautionary," the caseworker assured, but her tone said otherwise, dredging up Riley's past transience as a risk. Panic clawed at me, visions of losing this fragile harmony flashing like lightning. I confronted Riley gently over coffee at his favorite Capitol Hill cafe, the hiss of espresso machines underscoring our words. "They mentioned your history. Anything I need to know that could hurt us?" His cup clattered, green eyes storming. "Hurt us? Alex, I told you, foster hops, a couple scrapes with the law as a dumb teen stealing art supplies to eat. It's ancient, cleared." Hurt laced his voice, but beneath it, fear of being deemed unworthy again. I thought we were past hiding. I reached across the scarred wooden table, squeezing his knuckles. "We are. This is us fighting together, not against." The review loomed like a thunderhead, but we prepared as a unit, gathering letters from Jamie's teachers praising Riley's involvement, my own affidavit detailing his irreplaceable role. Jamie even drew a picture, the three of us as superheroes, capes billowing, taping it to the fridge as talisman. The day arrived rainy. The caseworker perched on our couch like a raven, flipping through files with clinical detachment. Riley sat ramrod straight, Jamie on his lap, a shield of innocence, while I advocated, voice steady with conviction born of love. Questions probed. Riley's job stability, our cohabitation plans, Jamie's adjustment metrics. He answered with quiet dignity, anecdotes of bedtime stories and park picnics, painting a portrait of commitment. When she pressed on his past, he met her gaze. I was a kid without anchors. Now, I found my harbor, right here. The room held its breath, and slowly, her expression softened, nodding as she closed the folder. It shows. Relief crashed over us as she left, Jamie whooping victory laps around the coffee table. Riley collapsed against me, sobs muffled in my shirt, the release cathartic. I was so scared they'd take it away. I held him tighter, murmuring into his hair, "Never. We're unbreakable." That night, we celebrated with a feast from the U District Market, falafel wraps and baklava sticky with honey. Toasting to storms weathered, our bond a lighthouse steady against the tide. As winter's chill receded, so did the shadows, our life settling into a groove of shared dreams. Riley's illustrations gained traction, a local gallery spotting his triptych series, while my projects flourished, infused with a creativity sparked by our harmony. Jamie's school report glowed with progress, his stutter from early traumas all but vanished, replaced by a confidence that mirrored Riley's quiet resilience. Yet growth demands sacrifice, and Riley's big break came with a catch: a month-long artist residency in Portland, a chance to exhibit nationally. The offer arrived over breakfast, his excitement tempered by hesitation. Fort paused mid-air. "It's huge, but leaving you too." Jamie's eyes widened from across the table, cereal spoon drooping. "You have to go, Riley. Draw cool stuff and bring it back." I forced a smile, masking the pang, knowing this was a shot at the stability he'd craved. "Go conquer. We'll hold the fort." But as the date neared, cracks showed, sleepless nights, Riley sketching furiously to capture us in ink, me overworking to fill the quiet. The send-off was at the ferry terminal, Jamie clutching a care package of his drawings, me fighting tears as Riley boarded, waving till the boat dissolved into mist. The house echoed without him, Jamie's questions a daily ache. "When's Riley coming home?" I distract with hikes in the Cascades, breathing pine-scented air to ease the void, but letters from Riley, actual handwritten ones, a nod to his old-school soul, bridged the gap, filled with tales of gallery openings and midnight doubts, ending always with "counting waves till I'm back in your arms." Mid-residency, crisis called me south, a bridge collapse on I-5 near the border, stranding Riley's exhibit truck. I drove through the night, arriving at dawn to a chaotic warehouse lot, Riley directing loaders with frantic energy. Our reunion was wordless, bodies colliding in a hug that defied the diesel fumes, his whisper fierce. "I couldn't do this without you." We salvaged the show together, my logistics know-how meshing with his vision, the opening a triumph of sold pieces and glowing reviews. He returned early, the residency cut short by acclaim, tumbling into our bed with stories and scars from the road. "It was good," he admitted, tracing my collarbone in the lamplight, "but home is you." We made love with the fervor of reunion, rediscovering contours in the familiar dark, gratitude weaving through every touch. Spring's renewal mirrored ours, Jamie's birthday, a milestone of cake and chaos, Riley gifting him a custom sketchbook etched with adventure awaits. As we blew out candles, I caught Riley's eye over the flames, a silent vow passing between us. Through adoptions and orphans, babysitters turned beloveds, we'd chosen this life, messy and magnificent. Summer's heat wave baked Seattle into submission. The usual drizzle a distant memory as we escaped to the San Juan Islands for a week of ferry hopping and kayaking. At 36 now, fatherhood and love had softened my edges, crow's feet from laughter rather than loss, while Riley, ever the vibrant 26, dove into island life with infectious zeal, teaching Jamie to spot orcas breaching off Lime Kiln Point. Our cabin perched on a cliff, waves crashing below like applause for our hard-fought peace, and in stolen moments on the porch, Riley's head on my lap. I'd run fingers through his sun-bleached hair, marveling at how far we'd sailed from that stormy adoption day. Jamie paddled ahead in his tiny kayak, fearless under Riley's watchful eye, yelling back about seals sunning on rocks. "Look, Dad, like puppies." The normalcy of it, Dad shared seamlessly between us, filled me with a quiet awe, a family forged not in blood but in the deliberate acts of showing up. Yet even paradise held undercurrents. Riley's phone buzzed with gallery offers, Portland whispering temptations of permanence, and I'd catch him staring at the horizon, a flicker of wanderlust in his green depths. One evening, as bioluminescent plankton lit the bay like fallen stars, we built a bonfire on the beach, Jamie roasting marshmallows to char perfection. Stories flowed with the tide, Riley recounting his first foster home, a cramped Tacoma trailer where he'd drawn on walls to escape, me sharing Marcus's wild tales from our bartending days in Belltown. Laughter mingled with salt air, but as embers died, Riley pulled me aside, voice low against the surf. "What if I take that Portland gig? Full-time curator." It'd mean stability for all of us. The question landed like driftwood, heavy with implication. "You deserve it," I said, but hesitation knotted my gut, uprooting Jamie from his school, his soccer team, our queen and roots. "But this life, it's ours." He nodded, eyes reflecting firelight, and we let the waves decide, making love in the cabin to the rhythm of rain finally breaking the drought, a compromise unspoken. Back in the city, Reality reasserted. School starting, my firm expanding with a green retrofit project for the old Carnegie Library. Riley deferred the offer, channeling energy into local workshops for at-risk youth. His passion for art as therapy, turning our garage into a haven for foster kids sketching their silences. Jamie beamed at pickup, clutching finger-painted masterpieces, and I'd arrive home to Riley elbow-deep in clay, his smile brighter than any career ladder. But autumn brought an unexpected gale. Jamie's teacher called, concern lacing her words about playground taunts. Whispers of two dads twisting into playground cruelty, a bully named Tyler cornering him with slurs borrowed from overheard talk radio. My blood boiled as I knelt to Jamie's level that night, his lower lip quivering over uneaten mac and cheese. They said it's weird. Us. Riley hovered, face pale, and we tag-teamed reassurance, but the wound festered, a reminder that love's visibility invited arrows. We confronted it head-on, enrolling Jamie in a youth LGBTQ+ support group at the Capitol Hill Library, where he'd meet kids with patchwork families like ours. Riley volunteered as facilitator, his stories disarming the group's guarded hearts, while I lobbied the school for anti-bullying assemblies, channeling architects' precision into advocacy. The bully incident peaked at a recess showdown, Tyler shoving Jamie, but our kids stood tall, echoing Riley's words. My family's weird? Nah, it's awesome. Teachers intervened, parents looped in, and slowly, the tide turned, Jamie emerging stronger, his resilience a badge we all wore. Through it, Riley and I grew to therapy sessions unpacking our scars. Mine from Marcus's ghost, his from systems indifference. You're my safe harbor, he told the counselor one rainy afternoon, hand in mine, and I echoed it back, the words a mantra against doubt. Holidays approached with tentative joy, Thanksgiving a potluck with Riley's artist friends and my firm colleagues, the table groaning under Turkish delights and turkey, laughter drowning old aches. Jamie's school play cast him as the brave orphan in a modern Annie, rehearsals filling evenings with songs and stage fright. Riley helped with lines, his dramatic flair turning practice in a theater, while I built props in the basement, sawdust-scented hours bonding us. Opening night glittered under auditorium lights, Jamie nailing his solo with a voice clear as fairy whistles, the applause thundering like approval from the gods. Backstage, tears streaked Riley's cheeks as he hugged the boy. You were magnificent, and in that crush of pride, our eyes met, a spark igniting amid the chaos. We celebrated at a hole-in-the-wall diner on Broadway, neon buzzing over milkshakes and fries, Jamie recounting every cue. But as we walked home through festive streets, strung with lights like promises, a figure emerged from the shadows. Marcus's estranged sister, Lila, unannounced after years of radio silence. I heard about the adoption, she said, voice edged with old grief, eyes flicking to Riley with veiled judgment. Thought I'd see if you're okay. Tension crackled, Jamie shrinking behind me, but Riley stepped forward, charm disarming. Join us for coffee? Alex could use the family tie. Over steaming mugs at a 24-hour spot, Lila thawed, sharing stories of Marcus's hidden kindnesses, regrets for their rift. He'd be proud, she whispered, glancing at our intertwined hands. Of this. Dawn broke as she left with a tentative hug, a bridge mended, and Riley squeezed my thigh under the table. See? Even ghosts approve. Winter deepened, snow blanketing the city in hush. Our Victorian a warm glow against the white. Riley's workshop thrived, a grant funding expansions, while Jamie's grade soared, his bully a distant memory. Yet intimacy evolved, touches lingering longer, conversations delving deeper into futures. Kids beyond Jamie, perhaps, or travels to the Southwest Red Rocks. One blizzard night, stranded by drifts, we played board games by candlelight, Jamie crowing victory, but as he slept, Riley and I slow danced in the living room, Ella Fitzgerald crooning from speakers. You're my forever plot twist, I murmured into his neck, and he laughed low and true. From babysitter to husband material? Who'd have guessed? The word hung, casual yet loaded, planting seeds for spring. As Valentine's approached, Riley plotted a surprise. A hot air balloon ride over the Snoqualmie Valley, Jamie bundled with us against the chill, the basket lifting into dawn's pink haze. Earth receded, farms unfolding like a quilt, and up there, with wind whispering secrets, Riley knelt. Not with a ring, but a sketch. Our vows illustrated in intricate detail, a proposal in art. Marry me, Alex. Let's make this official for him, for us. Tears blurred the vista, Jamie whooping yes before I could, and my absolutely echoed to the clouds. Landing, we tumbled into grass, still dewy, a family complete, love's balloon soaring boundless. The engagement buzzed through spring like pollen on the breeze, Seattle's cafes abuzz with our news as we planned a simple ceremony at the Japanese garden in the Arboretum, cherry petals as confetti for our vows. At 36, I felt reborn, the architect in me drafting invitations with clean lines and heartfelt script, while Riley, 26 and radiant, infused every detail with color, handmade boutonnieres of lavender and thistle, a cake layered with local berries. Jamie, now 9, appointed himself ring bearer, practicing his strut with a pillow clutched like a trophy, his excitement a bomb against the undercurrents of change. Lila's reconciliation deepened, her visits bringing photo albums and recipes from Marcus's side, weaving her into our tapestry. He always said you'd find someone who matches your fire, she told me over brunch at Elliot's Oyster House, overlooking the market's bustle. Riley charmed her with tales of his latest mural project for a youth shelter, and by dessert, she'd offered to host the rehearsal dinner, a gesture that mended more than family ties. But Joy's shadow is doubt, and mine crept in during fittings at a Capitol Hill tailor, Riley's suit hugging his frame like it was drawn for him. You sure about forever? I joked, but my voice cracked, old fears surfacing, the agency's past scrutiny, the world's casual judgments. He turned from the mirror, eyes serious. More than blueprints, Alex. You my design. His kiss sealed it, fabric rustling in the empty shop, a preview of nights to come. Rehearsals unfolded under azaleas in full bloom, Jamie nailing his lines with theatrical flair, friends toasting with sake cups. Lila's dinner that night was intimate, her backyard strung with lanterns, laughter flowing like the Duwamish at flood. But as plates cleared, she pulled me aside, voice soft. He's good for you, but have you thought about protecting it all? Wills, custody, the legal weave. Her words, practical from a lawyer's lens, hit like cold rain, reminding me our love, though fierce, navigated straits others sailed smoothly. We dove into it post-dinner, Riley and I at the kitchen table till midnight, laptops open to templates and legalese. Jamie wandered in sleepy-eyed, curling between us. Are we making it official, he mumbled, and our yes drew a yawn smile. By dawn, papers drafted, second-parent adoption for Riley, joint assets outlined, turned vulnerability into armor, our commitment etched in ink as sure as rings. Summer wedding day, dawn misty, the garden a watercolor of pinks and greens, guests milling under pavilions as strings of koi flashed in ponds. Jamie led the procession, pillow aloft, his grin wider than the Olympics on clear days. I waited at the arbor, heart hammering like pile drivers on a site, until Riley appeared, path lined with petals, his eyes locking mine with a promise that spanned eternities. Vows exchanged were simple, raw. I choose you. Every storm and sunrise, Riley said, voice steady, ring sliding warm onto my finger. Mine followed. You turned my orphan heart into home. And as we kissed, cheers erupted, Jamie tackling our legs in glee. The reception spilled into picnic blankets and live jazz, toasts ranging from Lila's tearful nod to Jamie's best day ever. But midway, a hiccup, Tyler's mom, the former bully parent, approached with apologies, her son's remorse prompted by our advocacy assemblies. You've changed things here, she admitted, and Riley's gracious, water under the bridge diffused old tensions, turning foes to allies in unexpected grace. Honeymoon called us to the Olympic Peninsula, a cabin on the Hoh rainforest floor, ferns dripping like living veils. Jamie stayed with Lila, thrilled for Annie adventures, leaving us to mossy trails and tidal pools teeming with starfish. Nights blurred in firelight and whispers, bodies rediscovering in the wild's embrace. Riley's tattoos glowing like runes under moonlight. Husband, he tested one dawn, the word a revelation, and I pulled him closer, always. Return thrust us into newlywed rhythm. Riley's mural unveiling at the shelter drawing crowds, his nameplate beside mine on the mailbox, a quiet triumph. Jamie's school year kicked off with a bang, his art project, a family portrait inspired by Riley, earning blue ribbons. Yet domestic bliss bred complacency, small frictions emerging. My late nights clashing with his early workshops, Jamie's growing independence chafing our overprotectiveness. One crisp fall evening, it boiled over. I'd missed Jamie's parent-teacher conference for a deadline crunch, arriving home to Riley's tight-lipped silence and takeout cooling on the counter. He aced reading, Riley said flatly, tucking Jamie in. In the kitchen, words flew. You prioritize concrete over us, he accused, hurt flaring green in his eyes. And you act like I need saving every time. I shot back, exhaustion fueling fire. The argument escalated, voices echoing off walls we'd painted together, until a sob from the hall stopped us. Jamie, tear-streaked, clutching his bear. Don't fight, please. Guilt crashed, and we knelt, enveloping him in hugs, apologies tumbling. Bedtime stories soothed him back to sleep, but Riley and I retreated to the porch, rain pattering like regret. We're human, he murmured, head on my shoulder. But we're better together. We recommitted then, scheduling us nights. No phones, just walks along the locks, watching salmon leap like aspirations. Counseling helped too, a refresher on communications art, turning spats into stepping stones. Winter holidays shimmered with tradition. Tree trimming to Bing Crosby, cookies shaped like orchis. Lila joined for Christmas, her gift a locket with Marcus's photo beside one of Jamie, bridging past and present. Riley's surprise was a custom blueprint. Our dream expansion, a studio addition for his art, playroom for Jamie's chaos. Building our tomorrow, he said, unrolling it by the fire, and tears pricked as I kissed him, the paper crinkling between us. Jamie's 10th birthday dawned snowy, a rare white Seattle capping the festivities. We rented the planetarium, stars wheeling overhead as he blew out candles on a galaxy-themed cake. But the gift that undid him was from us. Adoption papers, Riley's name stamped official, a second dad inked forever. Really, he whispered, hugging us fierce, and in that squeeze, every trial, Orphan's Babysitter's storms distilled to this pure joy. As spring greened the sound, our life flowered. Riley's exhibit touring, my firm promoting me to partner, Jamie thriving in Scouts. Yet the deepest growth was internal, love maturing from passion's blaze to enduring ember, a light guiding through fogs unforeseen. One balmy June eve, at a Pride block party on Broadway, rainbows draping the streets, we danced under street lamps, Jamie spinning between us. Confetti swirled, bass thumping like heartbeats, and Riley leaned in, breath warm. From that first rain-soaked hello to this, worth every drop. I nodded, pulling him close, our family a constellation amid the crowd, shining proof that chosen paths lead to the truest homes. The years slipped like sand through fairy rails, Jamie blossoming into a lanky 12-year-old with Riley's artistic eye and my analytical bent, his bedroom a gallery of sketches and model bridges. At 38, I navigated senior architect demands, overseeing the waterfront transformation into sustainable haven, while Riley, 28 now, balanced the studio with adjunct teaching at Cornish College, nurturing young talents from fractured homes. Our Victorian stood sentinel on Queen and Hill, expansions realized. The studio where Riley's canvases breathe, the family room echoing with Jamie's guitar strums, a testament to dreams drafted and built. Marriage deepened us. Anniversaries marked with quiet rituals, a balloon ride reprise, vows renewed under the same dawn sky. Intimacy evolved too, less frantic fire, more steady glow, mornings tangled in sheets with coffee brewing, Riley's head on my chest as we planned weekends kayaking the Sound. Yet midlife's mirror reflected changes. Faint grays threading my hair, Riley's laugh lines etching stories, Jamie's questions turning profound. How do you know you loved each other? Prompting reflections on that hook of adoption and persistence. One overcast April, Lila's call shattered routine. Cancer, stage 3, her voice a rasp over the line. Don't fuss, she insisted. But we fussed plenty, driving to her Bellevue condo with care packages of pho and her favorite peonies. Jamie drew get-well cards, splashed with superheroes. Riley cooked meals portioned for one, and I handled logistics, Dr. Run's chemo schedules, channeling control into care. Her fight mirrored Marcus's, a haunting parallel, but Lila's spirit buoyed us, her quips sharp as ever. If I beat this, you owe me grandkid sketches, Riley. The ordeal bonded us tighter, family expanding to include her nurse's tales and support group friends. Summers found us at her lakeside cabin, Jamie fishing for cutthroat while we grilled salmon, laughter defying the shadow. Riley poured emotion into a portrait series for her. Lila through seasons, fierce and frail, exhibited locally to fundraise, the opening a catharsis of tears and toasts. You've given me more than time, she told him, frame in hand, and his hug lingered, our circle unbreakable. Jamie's adolescence stirred new waves. Middle school a gauntlet of crushes and cliques, his first boyfriend a shy artist named Kai from art club. We navigated it with open doors, Riley sharing coming-out stories from his youth, me offering dad wisdom on consent and kindness. Pride that year, Jamie marched with Kai, rainbow flag high, his pride swelling our chests. But heartbreaks came too, a fallout over a stolen sketchbook, and we held space for sobs, Riley's arms a haven, my words a anchor. Love's not linear, kid. It bends but doesn't break. Professional tides pulled. My firm bid on a national eco tower, requiring travel to D.C., weeks away from home. Riley held fort, his texts a lifeline of Jamie's triumphs. Debate club wins, mural collaborations, but loneliness gnawed during hotel nights, video calls framing their faces like distant stars. Return brought reunion fever, tumbling into bed with pin-up need. Riley's body a map I'd never tire of exploring, whispers of mist this sealing the gap. Autumn's harvest brought bounty and bite. Lila's remission declared, a miracle toasted with champagne at her bedside, Jamie's whoop echoing halls. But Riley's diagnosis followed swift. A routine check flagging arrhythmia, stress from juggling roles taxing his heart. Cardiologist visits blurred into EKGs and beta blockers, fear coiling like ivy. It's manageable, the doc assured, but Riley's eyes betrayed terror, foster echoes of impermanence. We rallied as always, Jamie researching heart-healthy recipes with fervor, me rearranging workloads for his rest. Therapy delved into his anxieties, unearthing patterns from unstable youth, and support groups linked him with queer artists navigating health hurdles. Riley channeled it into work. A series on vital signs, canvases pulsing with reds and blues, exhibited to acclaim. Opening night, monitors beeping softly backstage, he spoke. This heart beats for them. Gesturing to us, and applause thundered, his hand steady in mine. Winter wrapped us in resilience, holidays hushed by snow, Lila joining for a subdued feast where gratitude trumped gifts. Jamie's gift to Riley, a custom stethoscope etched with our hero, drew laughs through tears, and as we exchanged rings anew by the tree, vowing adaptability, love felt invincible. Spring thawed fears, Riley's follow-ups clear, his energy rebounding into a workshop tour across the Northwest. Jamie's bar mitzvah, a nod to Lila's Jewish roots, adapted for our secular clan, filled the synagogue with eclectic kin, his speech on chosen family poignant. Dad's taught me blood's optional, heart's essential. Pride swelled, our hugs fierce amid Kleenex. Yet growth price is letting go, and Jamie's high school acceptance, a magnet arts program downtown, signaled shifts. Applications loomed, Riley helping polish portfolios, me crunching logistics. One eve, over pizza in the park, Jamie broached it. Can Kai come for summer? Make it official. We nodded, beaming at his blush, our boy stepping into his own narrative. As summer scorched, a curveball. My firm's merger demanded relocation options. San Francisco's boon calling. Offers weighed heavy. Riley's career rooted here, Jamie's life entrenched. Discussion stretch nights, pros cons listed like blueprints. We built this, Riley said, voice cracking over maps. But dreams evolve. Compromise emerged. Remote hybrid, me splitting time, our home anchor unshaken. Jamie's 13th dawned with a road trip to Olympic hot springs, soaking aches away, laughter steaming the air. There, under star-pricked skies, Riley sketched us by firelight, Jamie strumming guitar, and I narrated tales of our origins. The orphan, the babysitter, the love that lingered. That's the real story, I said, and their nod sealed it, a legacy in motion. Fall's palette painted change golden, Jamie commuting with flair, Riley's tour rapping in sold-out crowds. My DC stints flew by, returns met with feasts and fervor, our bet a constant. Lila's health held, her book club adopting us, stories swapped like heirlooms. One crystalline November day, at the waterfront's new pier, my design realized, sustainable and soaring. We scattered Marcus's ashes, delayed too long, waves carrying him home. Riley's hand in mine, Jamie's quiet respect, Lila's prayer, closure washed clean, space for futures unburdened. Winter's solstice brought revelation. Riley, pacemaker humming steady, proposed expanding, fostering a teen, paying forward our patchwork. Jamie lit up, like reverse adoption, and we dove in, trainings rigorous but rewarding, hearts open to new chapters. As snow fell soft, our Victorian glowed, a beacon for wanderers, proof that from one orphan's handclasp and a babysitter's persistence, empires of love rise, enduring every season. Time's river carved deeper channels. Jamie at 15, a whirlwind of AP classes and activism, his murals adorning underpasses with messages of inclusion. Riley's influence blooming bold. At 40, I led the firm's sustainability arm, consulting nationwide, my name on plaques from Portland to Philly, while Riley, 30 and tenured adjunct, published a graphic novel on foster resilience, pages turning trauma to triumph. Our home, once a refuge for three, now hosted a rotating cast. The teen foster, Mia, a sharp-witted 16-year-old with Riley's eye for color and my knack for puzzles, her presence a joyful chaos of late-night debates and shared suppers. Marriage at 7 years felt like vintage wine, richer with age, our arguments rarer, resolved in walks where Queen Anne's views stretched to infinity. Intimacy whispered now, in stolen glances over breakfast, touches that spoke volumes without rush, though sparks still ignited on anniversary getaways. A cabin in the Methow Valley, stars carpeted overhead, bodies reacquainting like old lovers. Jamie teased, gross dads, but his grin betrayed pride, our example etching his compass. Lila's cancer remitted fully, her energy rebounding in her travels. A Mediterranean cruise, postcards of azure seas, and her radiant smile. She mentored Mia, sharing legal savvy for college apps, their bond a surrogate aunt-niece weave. Holidays swelled the table, Mia's vegan twist clashing delightfully with turkey traditions, toast to survival ringing true. Jamie's romance with Kai deepened. Proms planned with tuxes and corsages, we chaperoning dances where rainbows pulsed under disco balls. Heartbreaks tested him. A college deferral for Kai's family move. But he leaned on us. Riley's art therapy sessions unspooling grief. My late-night drives to viewpoints offering perspective. Paths diverge, but love echoes. Professional pinnacles peaked. My TEDx talk on resilient design streamed to thousands. Riley in the front row, eyes shining like beacons. His novel launch packed Elliott Bay Book Company. Jamie emceeing with poise, Mia signing copies for fans. Post-party, champagne fizzing, we collapsed on the couch, limbs entangled, whispering gratitudes till sleep claimed us. But midlife's underbelly stirred. A routine physical flagged my blood pressure, stress's toll from jet-set life. Meds and mindfulness followed, Riley enforcing unplug rituals. Yoga on the deck at dawn, his guided breaths, syncing hours. Mia's crisis hit concurrent. A bio-dad surfacing, custody whispers threatening her stability. Court dates loomed. Our family lawyered up with Lila's firm, testimonies prepared. Mine on structure solace, Riley's on creative healing, Jamie's on sibling solidarity. The hearing in downtown's federal building was a gauntlet. Mia, trembling her chair, the judge's gavel a potential axe. But our chorus swayed, social workers praising her progress, teachers lauding her spark. Verdict granted us guardianship. Mia's exhale a hurricane, hugs in the hall dissolving tension. You're stuck with me, she joked through tears, and Riley's darn right sealed our expanded clan. Summer's idol followed, a road trip down the Oregon coast, Highway 101 curving like a promise, stops at tide pools and lighthouses. Mia photographed everything, Jamie narrated podcasts from a shotgun seat, Riley and I alternating wheel, hands brushing gears. Campfires crackled stories. Mia's dreams of animation school, Jamie's eco club campaigns, our tales of origins, adoption's hook, babysitter's stay. Fall brought farewells and flights. Jamie's college apps to RISD and UC Berkeley, acceptances piling like autumn leaves. Riley's novel tour whisked him east, virtual book clubs filling gaps, his calls laced with hurry home heat. Mia's high school musical caster lead, rehearsals overlapping my conference in Vancouver, streams syncing our cheers. Jamie's decision, Berkeley for architecture and art double major, landed with mixed joy, dorm packing a right bittersweet. Move-in day dawned foggy, U-Haul groaning up I-5, Berkeley's campus a buzz of ambition. Unloading boxes in his sunlit room, Kai arriving with pizza, we hugged fierce, Riley slipping a sketch, build big, love bigger, drive home silent at first, tears drying to resolve, Mia piping up, room for one more at dinner? Winter's chill ushered introspection, holidays hybrid with Jamie zooming from dorm feasts, his stories of protests and profs warming screens. Lila's Yarzite from Marcus prompted a sound cruise, scattering petals for remembrance, our circle, toasting legacies. Riley's heart checkup cleared with flying colors, pacemaker a silent guardian, his gratitude poured into a surprise, a tattoo matching mine, coordinates of our wedding garden inked on ribs. Spring's renewal mirrored transitions. Mia's graduation, capped toss high at the Space Needle, her scholarship to CalArts a launch pad. We threw a bash in the backyard, string lights twinkling, toast to flight without forgetting roots. Jamie's summer internship at my firm bridged worlds, his fresh eyes challenging designs, Riley guest lecturing on narrative and builds. Yet a shadow fell soft. Lila's recurrence, quieter this time, metastatic whispers. We rallied anew, hospice talks hushed but honest, her directive clear, quality over quantity. Weekends filled her condo with music and meals, Jamie flying down for storytelling marathons, Mia curating playlists of her jazz faves. Lila's final gift, a trust for the kids, letters sealed for future reads, her voice inked eternal. Her passing in June, under cherry trees blooming defiant, left a void like fog over the bay. Memorial at the garden where weed wed, petals falling like blessings, eulogies weaving her into our mythos. Grief's waves crested private, Riley and I holding vigils on the porch, Jamie's calls tear-streaked, Mia's art a cathartic flood. But from ashes, resolve, a scholarship in her name for queer foster youth, our commitment to her fight's echo. Summer healed slow, a retreat to the San Juans, kayaks slicing still waters, healing in harmony. Jamie interned seamlessly, his thesis sketching sustainable queer spaces, inspired by home. Mia prepped for SoCal, her animation portfolio featuring us as animated heroes, laughter in every frame. Fall's symphony played on. Jamie's freshman year, thriving. Mia's dorm adventures texted daily. My keynote at AIA conference lauded resilient loves, Riley beside me, his novel sequel announced. Yet the deepest note was quiet. A positive test from our fertility clinic consult, surrogacy whispers after years of musing. Winter's hush cradled the news, holidays electric with possibility. Jamie home for breaks, Mia flying north. New Year's Eve, under fireworks bursting over the needle, we shared it tentative, there whoops a chorus of yes. The journey ahead, appointments, hopes, loomed vast, but rooted in our story's soil, from Orphan's grasp to this blooming branch. As snow hushed the city, our Victorian cradled dreams anew, love's architecture ever expanding, a home where every arrival, every stay, built eternities. Decades danced by in a tapestry of trials and triumphs. Jamie at 25 a rising architect illustrator, his firm blending my structures with Riley's visions, projects dotting skylines from Seattle to Sydney. We'd aged into silver foxes. Me at 50, lines mapping laughter more than loss. Riley 40 and still magnetic, his gallery retrospectives drawing crowds, heart steady under ink and time. Mia, 26, animated blockbusters with queer heroes, her Oscar speech nodding to the dads who drew my first lines. Our Victorian, expanded thrice, house grandkids visits, Jamie's twins, boisterous with Kai's energy, Mia's adopted daughter, a sprite echoing her spark. Marriage at 25 years was bedrock, anniversaries epic. A vow renewal on that first rainy street, umbrellas up, guests drenched in joy. Intimacy simmered soul deep, mornings of coffee and caresses, nights of stories shared in the dark, bodies familiar as home. Lila's legacy thrived through scholarships. Hundreds of queer youth lifted, her letters opened on milestones, wisdom whispering eternal. Jamie's wedding to Kai under cherry blossoms mirrored ours, vows fierce. You stayed, through every sketch and storm. Fatherhood swelled us, the twins' arrivals, a boy and girl, named for Marcus and a foster aunt, filling arms and hearts. Diaper dashes and lullabies revived old rhythms. Riley sketches capturing gummy smiles. My blueprints for cribs turned heirlooms. Mia's adoption journey inspired ours, fostering evolving to permanency. Her girl, a whirlwind we adored. Challenges came gentle now. My semi-retirement consulting, Riley's adjunct empire, mentoring prodigies. Health scares, punctuated, my knee from old side hikes, Riley's routine tweaks, but yoga and each other kept us limber. Jamie's firm hit snags, a client dispute testing metal, but family huddles hash solutions, our circle a think tank of love. Grandparenting enchanted, weekends at the park with tots chasing ducks, Jamie and Kai stealing date breaths. Mia's film premieres red carpeted us, her daughter in pigtails cheering mama from our laps. Holidays ballooned, tables groaning under multi-gen feasts, toasts tracing threads from that adoption courtroom to now. One crisp autumn, at 55 and 45, we revisited the orphanage, now a community center, our donation unveiling a wing named for resilience. Jamie keynote, Mia filmed, grandkids finger-painted walls, the loop closing poetic. From one orphan, I murmured to Riley, hand in his to this empire. Winter's wisdom settled, a memoir co-authored, stays and strays, building family in the rain. Bestseller born of our tale, proceeds to fosters. Launches packed halls, Q&As raw with truths. Love's persistence over perfection, chosen kin's power. Jamie's twins turned 5, a party at Discovery Park, kites soaring like our first. Amid chaos, Riley pulled me to the bluff, Olympics purple in dusk. Still finding ways to stay, he teased, green eyes twinkling. I kissed him slow. Every day, love. Every damn day. As stars pricked velvet, family gathered, laughter rising like smoke. Our story a lighthouse for wayfarers. Proof that from a hook of desperation, through Babysitter's quiet siege, blooms a garden of meaning, where orphans find fathers, strangers find souls, and lives entwined in forever's gentle rain.